Hi, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we have my May TBR. Unlike April's TBR, which was guided primarily by the 3 readathons that I participated in, this TBR is only partially guided by 1 readathon, and it's something that goes along with my goals, and that is a readathon for the final book support group. I'll talk more about that in a moment. Since I didn't have a lot of the other things on my list, I let the following things guide my reading. 1, in my reading journal, I put stickers of the book covers that for whichever book that I am reading. It's gotten to the point where you can see not all of these books have gotten in there. And one of the reasons is because I have a lot of e-arcs from NetGalley that I have yet to get to. I keep saying, if I finish my TBR in time, I'll get to those e-arcs. Now, in May, I'm going to prioritize those. So, of those books, I won't get to all of my e-arcs, that would be way too many. But of those books, we have these here, and I'm going to try to read them and also show it to you. We have Operation Do-Over, The Best Liars in Riverview, Crazy in Poughkeepsie, Isaiah Dunn Saves the Day. I probably will put this one off because this is a sequel and I want to read the first book. Skander and the Unicorn Thief, A Light, More Than Words, The School for Whatnots. Now, these other 2 on here are not e-arcs. So continuing the e-arcs, here we have Denmark Vessie's Bible, The Island of Extraordinary Captives, Wingbearer, The Rebel Girls, Falling Short. These are Brandon Sanderson books that I'm getting to. So that is the list of e-arcs that I plan to pick from for this month, depending on what I'm in the mood for. Most of those are middle grade and or fantasy. Some are middle grade fantasy. Some of them are nonfiction. Now speaking of nonfiction, I have had these 2 books on 2 different TBRs already. I just ran out of time. I changed the TBR once. The second time I just ran out of time. This time I am prioritizing them. So these will get read in May. Now that I've said that, life might happen. Then we have the final book support group readathon. It's just like it's not an actual readathon or anything. It's just like, it is in the title. It is a support group. Every other month, Steph is going to have different, pushes, like a week back in March, and now there's 2 weeks plus a bingo card. I'm not going to be doing the bingo card for this one, but it's just a little extra push or motivation to read those final books. I have not yet finished my spreadsheet for all my series, but I've made significant progress. And so what I did is I chose to find series where I needed to read only 1 more book to finish the series. And so I have 5 of those that I got from the library, and 1 of those that is a more recent series that I started. So in no particular order, the series are, we have Concrete Rose, which is a prequel to The Hate U Give, and I read The Hate U Give several years ago, and I want to complete this. So this is sort of backwards, but it's like a final book because it came out afterwards. So we have Concrete Rose. Then we have The Crossroads. I really loved the first book in this series, the name of which is escaping me at the moment. But Alexandra Diaz chronicles the journey that these 2, their cousins, that they take as they try to escape a really terrible situation in, I think it's Guatemala, it might be Honduras, but I think it's Guatemala. And the peril that they face even in Mexico trying to get to the border. And this book picks up with what you could think of as was supposed to be their happily ever after, but we all know that life doesn't necessarily get a happily ever after, and I'm really intrigued about this part. Then we have The War I Finally Won. I did not realize that this was a series. I picked up the first book, The War That Saved My Life, after seeing one of my students a couple years ago reading it and enjoying it. So I looked into it and thought, okay, I'll read that. It's phenomenal. It is it's historical fiction set in World War II, and the protagonist was born with a clubfoot and a really terrible mother who did nothing to help her. She could have easily had the surgery to fix it, but the mother was doing really terrible things to her. And then in World War II, a lot of the British children were sent north to save their lives during the Battle of Britain, and she and her brother get sent north. And so that is why it's called The War That Saved My Life. So I don't know what's going to go on in the sequel, but I'm really excited to read it. Then we have Threads of Blue, continuing the duology theme. This is a sequel to Beautiful Blue World, which I read because it was on the SEASL list. And this is a bit of magical realism, so it seems like it's set in our world, but there's a little bit of stuff that seems like it's not. I don't remember a lot of the details. I remember enjoying it, otherwise I would not have continued on with the series, so I'll be really intrigued. I'll have to refresh my memory on the first book, but I'm intrigued about this one. Finally, of the library books, the one that I am least excited about, not that that means that I won't like the book, but I'm least excited about it because the Legend trilogy originally I absolutely love, and this is not set in the point of view of either of those protagonists. This is Day's younger brother. He's the protagonist of this. It's hit or miss for me when an author does that, adds on another book, but I'm really excited because I do enjoy Marie Lu's work. The last of the series that I will be reading, most likely in audiobook. Actually, there's probably 2 series that I'll be finishing in audiobook, but I do not have a physical copy of the other one. The first of those is The Hero of Ages. I have heard that this book is one of the best conclusions to a trilogy ever. Given how much I loved The Final Empire, how much I'm loving The Well of Ascension, I am nervous but also excited to get to Hero of Ages. The other one that I'm going to be reading by audiobook is The Assassin's Quest. I love Robin Hobb's work, and I'm really excited to get back to Fitz's world and even continue on with, I believe, The Live Ship Traders is the next series, but I probably won't get to that this month. The other quote-unquote obligation books, they're never obligation books, but it's something that I want to do. I want to participate in Jess Owen's Community Read, and this month they're choosing 2 books themed on learning more about Ukraine. And I'm all for learning more about history. So I do have the other book on hold at the library. Usually it's just one book, but both of these came highly recommended and were tied in the poll. So they've decided to go with both of them. And they've said, you don't have to read both of them, but of course, I'm going to read both of them. The one that I have on hold still at the library is Red Famine, which is a specific look at actions taken by Stalin that caused a famine. And I'm really intrigued to learn more about that. And then the other one is a more general history of Ukraine, and that is The Gates of Europe, a history of Ukraine. So I think this will be really fascinating to read and learn about. The other books that I probably get to, because it's one of these stickers that I want to go ahead and put in my reading journal. One of these other books that I have here as maybes is another one of those books with the stickers. It's this one right here. And I know it will be a quick read, so if I want to pump up the pages or whatever, and that is The Crimes of Grindelwald, the original screenplay. Of course, I will be looking into getting The Secrets of Dumbledore, the original screenplay. And then, if I have time, I'll get to Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, Out of the Easy. So there you have it. Again, it's a really highly ambitious TBR. My TBRs are always ambitious. I don't know if I'll get to all of these books. Obviously, I won't get to all of the e-arcs. I do plan to read the 8 books that I got from the library, which are these 2 nonfiction that I've had for a while, plus the 2 nonfiction for Book Community Read, and then the 4 series, final book in series. So those are what I would term my quote-unquote obligations. And then all the rest of the books that I read this month will be from this other list. So I'm really excited. It's finishing out the year. I never know how the month of May is going to go because it's the end of the year. We've got testing, we've got schedule changes, we've got field day, all sorts of things. Plus, at the end of May, I'm going up to Ottawa to run the Ottawa Marathon, which I'm really excited about. I may or may not do a vlog that weekend or include clips up there. I don't know how much reading I'll be doing, but I'm really excited about that. So here's to whatever May brings. Thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one.